Hey everybody, welcome to Studio 64. My name's David. I've been searching the interzones for more science, space and tech news to share with you. Came across this at Space. This should be interesting. Why is Neptune's moon Triton so weird? Interesting. There we go, an enhanced view of Neptune's largest moon, Triton. Wow. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Again, not a scientist myself, just love all science, space and tech news and sharing it with people. Just an old nerd. Absolutely love it. If there are any astronomers out there, let me know what you think of this, because this will be really cool. Sometimes astronomy is like a forensic investigation. We can't just rerun the past, so we have to study clues to figure out what happened. And the outer solar system contains one striking crime scene holding a big mystery: how the environment around Neptune got a moon like Triton. Interesting. As I say, leave the links to the main article below the video so you can pop in, check out these embedded links, go for a bit of a deeper dive if you want. Makes for an interesting read, believe me. Neptune has 14 known moons, with the exception of Triton. All of Neptune's moons are very small, and they come in two general flavours, regular and irregular. The regular ones orbit close to the planet, and the irregular ones are generally farther from Neptune, with all sorts of crazy orbits. That's something I didn't know. And then there's Triton. It was discovered by English merchant and amateur astronomer William Lassell, who in 1846 spotted the moon a mere 17 days after the discovery of Neptune itself. But it wasn't until August the 25th, 1989, that we got our first close-up look at Triton when the Voyager 2 probe flew by on the last leg of its historic grand tour of the outer solar system. Now, although Voyager 2 mapped only 40% of Triton's surface, the mission revealed just how strange the Neptunian moon is. Okay. For one, Triton is big. It's the seventh largest moon in the solar system, and it's over 200 times bigger than all of the other moons of Neptune combined, which makes it really stick out. It's interesting. I didn't realise that Triton was so large. Second, Triton is one of the irregular moons. It orbits backward relative to Neptune's spin, and its orbit is inclined at a stunning 67 degrees, almost perpendicular to its parent planet. Now, despite its irregularity, Triton's orbit is surprisingly circular. In fact, one of the most perfectly circular orbits out of all the objects in the solar system. So it orbits the wrong way, and it's almost a perfectly circular orbit. That's fascinating. As for the surface, it looks like a cantaloupe. A large chunk of Triton's mid-latitudes is covered in bumpy, wrinkly features, nicknamed appropriately enough, cantaloupe terrain. Sounds like me when I look in the mirror. Another large section features broad, featureless plains dotted with massive calderas, while the southern portion is dominated by a vast nitrogen ice cap dotted with dozens of cryovolcanoes, volcanoes that spew jets of water. Now, what the surface of Triton doesn't have is a lot of craters, signifying that it's capable of resurfacing itself and erasing them. That ability to resurface is uncommon in the solar system and is a sign that the moon is still partially warm. That's very, very interesting. It's something I was very unaware of. I knew that it had cryovolcanoes, but I didn't realise that it was still partially warm. That's fascinating. Yes, the leading suspects. Okay, so we've gathered the facts on the crime scene investigation. This moon of Neptune is way bigger than it should be, has a completely wonky orbit, formed in a non-traditional way, and has a young, dynamic, active surface. I can't even speak today. Fascinating. Now, I got just too excited about science news and space news and all that sort of stuff. What's the story behind these oddities? The best answer is that Triton is no mere moon, but instead a victim of an interplanetary kidnapping. Perhaps it is really a Kuiper Belt object, more akin to a Pluto or Eris than to the other moons of the solar system. Perhaps long ago, Triton fell into the vicinity of Neptune, got captured by the planet's gravity, and was forced to spend the remaining billions of years in orbit in its unwelcome home. Yeah, it makes you wonder whether it's a dwarf planet or something more than a moon. Now, Now, either Triton just got unlucky and had the exact wrong orbit to land itself near Neptune, or it suffered some fateful collision with one of Neptune's original moons and in the process lost enough energy to remain in orbit. Another possibility is that Triton originally formed as a small binary system. Much like many other Kuiper Belt objects, and a close encounter with Neptune sent Triton's twin flying away and left Triton itself trapped. That's a possibility. Yes, now the capturing of Triton explains its strange orbit. If it didn't form organically in the Neptunian system, it would have no reason to share the orbital plane with the regular moons. And if it was captured early enough, it would have had to swim through the debris around the still forming Neptune, which would be enough to shape its orbit into a nearly perfect circle. That's very interesting, isn't it? Now, this is good. This is something I've been really interested in. Triton remains warm because, like other Kuiper Belt objects, it has enough radioactive elements to release heat. That heat turns to water, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen ices into slush, keeping the surface young and active, much like Pluto has a giant slushy nitrogen ice glacier field. Indeed, Triton may be so warm that it sports a liquid water ocean underneath its crust. That's fascinating. Yeah. I wonder if it's a power we could harness sometime in the future, for energy use. It's been over a generation since our last brief encounter with Triton. These images captured by Voyager 2 are the only ones we have. Unfortunately, no mission concepts to return to the Neptunian system have advanced past the proposal stage within NASA's funding structure. Given the agency's interest in the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, which, to be fair, are also homes to vast oceans of liquid water and are far, far closer than Neptune, there will likely be no follow-up missions in our lifetimes. Gee, I wish, I would like that to change. And so this crime scene will have to wait until the next generation of explorers to be fully investigated. Interesting. We've got a little bit of a video here from back in the day. Letting us know what Voyager 2 saw when it came near Neptune and had a little visit to Triton. Let's check it out, and we'll finish off the conversation when we come out the other side.
Approaching Neptune, after 12 years on the road and another 1 billion miles, Voyager 2 was an exhausted traveler. By August of 1989, Voyager 2 was speeding more than 40,000 miles per hour toward its rendezvous with Neptune, the last stop on its spectacular grand tour of the 4 outer planets. Discovered in 1846, Neptune was named after the mythical Roman god of the sea. The planet appears blue because its methane absorbs most of the red in the spectrum, leaving mostly green and blue. Voyager 2 flew by Neptune only 22 miles off its charted course, and only 1 second off its scheduled flyby time. Skimming only 3,000 miles over the planet's north pole, Voyager found Neptune to be a giant ball of melted rock and ice, cloaked in hydrogen, helium, and methane gases, its atmosphere whipped by winds of up to 700 miles per hour. Voyager flew the closest that any spacecraft has come to one of the outer planets, discovering at least 4 complete rings of ice and rock, 6 new moons, and a great dark spot, a hurricane the size of Earth raging in Neptune's southern hemisphere. Dr. Andrew Ingersoll.
The storm revolves around the planet every 18 hours, and then it rotates around its own axis like a big glob of pizza dough every 16 days.
Largest of Neptune's 8 moons, Triton orbits in an opposite rotation from the planet. Triton was once probably an independent object in orbit around the Sun, until it collided with a moon and was captured by Neptune's gravity. Pockmarked by impact craters and glazed pink by a radiation blitz of methane and nitrogen ices and atmosphere, Triton is the coldest known object in the solar system and one of the most reflective. Utilizing Voyager's digitized photographs of this icy moon, scientists saw jagged mountains, high cliffs, and frozen lakes. The most bizarre discovery on Triton was the presence of icy geysers, some of which are still active, spewing organic particles 100 miles downwind. Dr. Edward Stone.
The Voyager mission to the outer planets has certainly been a journey of a lifetime. Having encountered Triton as the last world we would visit, I don't see how any of the scientists could have been happier.
Voyager 2 has set its course for southwest of the constellation Sagittarius. Traveling at 10 miles per second, it is expected to pass 4 light years from Sirius, the brightest star in the heavens, 290,000 years from now.
Well, that was really interesting, wasn't it? Like I said, I grew up being a young nerd, and in the 70s just watched everything to do with the Viking landers on Mars and all that sort of thing. And then, you know, in the late 80s and the 70s, and watching the Voyager probes go off into space. And then every time, you know, NASA would release images of these, these encounters, I just eagerly watched the television. I've actually videotaped a whole lot of them. I should dig out my old VHS player and digitize some of them, because there's some absolutely amazing stuff there. And of course, nowadays we sort of see this sort of thing all the time. But back then it was just absolutely novel and absolutely incredible. What do you think? Do you think Triton is weird? Or do you think it's just one of many little moons that could be like that? Do you think the ocean could, if there's an ocean under there, could it harbour life? And do you think that the heat would be warm enough to sustain us if we were ever to colonise the moon of Triton? Interesting. All right, well, my name is David. Thanks for joining me for another Studio 64 Science, Space and Tech News update. I shall see you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. If you're up for it, drop a comment down below the video, because I'd love to hear what you think. All right, take care, and as I always say, if you can't be good at it. And as I also always say,
I'll be back.